Hey guys, Rob from Infinite Combo here. On today's Throwback Thursday video, I'm going to bring us back to 1995, to an epic tale that spans ages in a fight to stop an ancient alien being from destroying both the planet and the future as we know it. A grand adventure that brings 7 unlikely heroes together in a quest that spans over 65 million years. I'm talking about one of the greatest RPGs of all time and my personal favorite game of all time, Chrono Trigger. Just as a warning, there is a potential for spoilers here. However, the game is over 20 years old, so it's not like this information is unknown.
Chrono Trigger came late in the life of the Super Nintendo, releasing just under 3 weeks before the Sony PlayStation launched in the US, and with it most of the huge epic RPGs would shift from Nintendo's platforms over to the PlayStation. The Nintendo 64 wouldn't be out for another 13 months at this time. Chrono Trigger did benefit from its late launch, however. Squaresoft, which is now known as Square Enix, had plenty of experience with the console, allowing them to make one of the best RPG experiences on a home console, one that even stands up today. It is also one of the best looking games on the console, only rivaled by the Donkey Kong Country series and another late Squaresoft gem that never made it to the United States, Seiken Densetsu 3.
Enough about history. I'm not going to just blabber about this the whole time. Let's pop this game in and check it out.
Chrono Trigger is a Japanese role-playing game that follows many of the staples of the genre. However, it does have a few unique features about it. Instead of having a random battle system like Squaresoft's other main RPG franchise, Final Fantasy, the enemies and battles take place on the same screen as the ones you explore on. Characters can use both weapon attacks and special attacks called techs. Characters can also mix techs to create much more powerful dual techs and triple techs. This is a feature that makes Chrono Trigger very unique in how battles play out. Techs can also sometimes have areas of effect. For example, Robo's area bomb hits all enemies in a certain radius around him, and Chrono's slash attack will hit all enemies that are lined up with him. And it's not just our heroes that can use these abilities. Enemies also have techniques, and many of them have similar properties to them, such as hitting enemies in a line or hitting enemies in a certain area of effect. The story of Chrono Trigger is epic, and spans through many time periods in the history of this Earth-like planet. You'll visit prehistoric areas, the Middle Ages, present time, the dark and destroyed future, and even the end of time itself. Without going into too much detail, because you should experience the story yourself, an ancient alien beast named Lavos fell from the planet in 65 million BCE and burrowed into the ground. It lay dormant, feeding on the energy of the planet, and then awakens in 1999 CE to wipe out the planet. Our 7 heroes find themselves zipping through time to fix broken events and eventually to stop Lavos and save the future of the planet.
Chrono Trigger is my favorite game of all time, which is why I decided to do my first Throwback Thursday video on it. And there's many reasons why. The characters are memorable, and there's some really great side quests that really help flesh them out. There's also 13 unique endings to this game, which gives it a ton of replay value. The game also features a New Game Plus option, which allows you to restart the game from the beginning while keeping all of your non-story related items, as well as weaponry and your character's levels intact, making finding those extra endings easier. In fact, it's even required for some of them.
The characters are some of the best in RPGs that I can think of. There isn't a single character that I can say I dislike in any way, even the villains. Chrono is your relatively normal silent protagonist, however, his actions more than make up for his silence, proving his strength and caring for his friends. Marley seems like your typical runaway princess at first, but to the core she's a strong character who cares deeply for her friends and will fight anything to protect them. Luca is Chrono's best friend and a scientific genius. Her knowledge of technology is unrivaled, allowing her to make this entire journey possible due to her gate key. Frog is a guardian knight who was turned into a frog by the great wizard Magus. His loyalty is only matched by his swordsmanship, as well as his loyalty to his king. Robo is a humanoid robot from the bleak Lavos-destroyed future. After finding him broken and disabled, Luca fixes him up more than once. Feeling there was nothing left for him there, Robo asks the group to help in their travels. Ayla is a distant ancestor of the Guardian lineage from the time of the dinosaurs, or reptites as they're called in this game. She's the leader of the main village on the planet and also the strongest character in the game in terms of raw strength. And finally Magus, a character who the game initially tries to make look like the main antagonist. Magus is initially from another time, tossed through a gate and raised by monsters, with nothing but revenge and his sister on his mind. Recruiting Magus isn't just a good idea, it gives you extra side quests as well as more content during the game's ending. Chrono Trigger's colorful cast of characters really bring out the game's excellent storytelling. The world is masterfully crafted, being able to see the similarities in each age, really giving you an idea of the evolution of the planet. These are just some of the reasons why this is my favorite game of all time. In fact, I like this game so much, I even challenged myself to finishing the entire game in Japanese. I don't know a single word of Japanese or how to read it, so I thought it would be an interesting challenge just to see how well I know the game. In fact, why don't we take a look and see where I am in my current file. Alright, so I'm at Zeal Palace in 12,000 BC. As you can see, almost everything is in Japanese. I can't tell you the names of my equipment or my items, but sometimes the text and color of them allows me to figure out what I'm working with. For example, this item says HP and 50, which tells me that it's a tonic that recovers 50 hit points. And this one says MP and 30, which tells me that it's a mid-ether. Now I don't know every single weapon offhand, but the stats comparison makes it easy to decide what weapons and armors I can use when I get them.
You may be asking, how do I play this game today? I don't have a Super Nintendo. Of course, that's how I'm playing the game. And if you happen to be lucky enough to still have a Super Nintendo lying around, you can pick up a cartridge for around $50 to $100. It's a little pricey. Now, if you happen to own a Super Famicom, they're much cheaper. You can get one between $10 and $15. However, it's really tough to play this game for the first time if you don't know the language, so I wouldn't recommend it if you don't know Japanese. The game was later re-released on the PlayStation in a collection called Final Fantasy Chronicles. Now, this includes Final Fantasy IV and Chrono Trigger in a 2-disc set on the PlayStation, which can be played on PlayStation, a PlayStation 2, or a PlayStation 3. The game did have updated cutscenes added to it, anime style by Akira Toriyama, at a few pivotal points in the game. They're pretty cool. The game was then released next on the Nintendo DS. It kept the added cutscenes from the PlayStation version, but also added a couple added dungeons to try to better connect it to its sequel, Chrono Cross. And the reason I say sequel in quotes is because it's pretty tough already to connect those two games together, so I don't know that I really consider it a sequel. Finally, for you smartphone users out there, you can get the game on iOS right in the App Store, and if you happen to be an Android user, you can get it right through the Google Play Store as well. Lastly, you can also download the standalone Final Fantasy Chronicles version of the game on PlayStation Network. I do believe the game will work on PlayStation Vita, PlayStation Portable, and PlayStation 3. It's also available on the Wii Virtual Console. However, it hasn't been re-released on the Wii U yet, so you would have to either go into Wii mode on your Wii U or play it on a Wii itself. The advantage of playing it there is that it's a direct port of the Super Nintendo version of the game, including all of its load times, bugs, and glitches. Thanks for joining me on this journey through time, and letting me think back to one of my favorite games of all time, and a game that really shaped how I play games today. This is Rob from Infinite Combo, and until next time, stay infinite.